this is a two-part series that we are doing about websites and whether they are relevant or not. So, obviously, there's been a lot of shift in the past couple of years with marketing and specifically technology in marketing. So we wanted to do this because we have a lot of new realtors, and even maybe if you're thinking, should I keep my website? And you know had a website for a while, this should help you out. We've had a lot of people say, do I even need a website anymore? We've got Facebook and all of the social media. Can I just have a social media page? And my direct answer to you is going to be no. And I'm going to tell you websites are 100% still relevant. Absolutely a necessary piece to your business. But what I will say is, I don't believe that you need to spend a lot of money on your website. Um, it used to be important when websites were like the new hot thing, and it was really cool if you had a website, you can get somebody to build your website, you'd spend a lot of money on it. And we're going to go through costs and things like that. I do believe it's important that you need to have it. We're going to go through the reasons why. Um, but I do not believe that you need to be spending hundreds of dollars or, thousands of dollars to build a custom made website unless you have some different specific goals in mind. So, our first session for website relevancy, this is what we're going to go over today. It's the importance of content. We're going to talk about IDX feeds. We're going to talk about URLs. We're going to talk about costs and options. And then, most importantly, we're going to go over whether your website is legal or not. Because I know even when I started brand new, I had gotten my license after helping realtors, do their marketing for about 3 years. And I got so excited when I finally became a realtor myself. I went to build my site, and I, signed on with a template, but then I wanted to make it my own a little bit. And I wasn't legal because I got so excited thinking about myself. And let's be honest, we all get there. And it's not a selfish thing. We just get really excited about creating our brand and what we want to portray to people, that we forget that we have a lot of advertising laws that are in the mix when it comes to creating your site. So, first and foremost, if I'm going to talk about anything, the most important thing that I want you to take away from today is the importance of content. And this is why websites are still so relevant and important. We post on social media frequently as realtors, or we should. And there's a huge mistake I see a lot of realtors making. If you were to just have a social media page and no website, where would you pull that content from to post onto social media? So let's say you get a new listing, or the office gets some new listings that you want to put out there. Where are you posting from? Because if you're going to Zillow.com, you're going to Realtor.com, or you're going to Homes.com and you're posting the listing from there, you are making a huge mistake. And this is what I see realtors do all the time. Even people who I know better. I think it's like an automatic response. Oh, I got a listing. I grabbed the link from Zillow and I'm going to post it on Facebook. Well, if you're posting it from there, you are sending all of those people to a third-party website. You are putting them in the hands of people who are purchasing leads. So most of us know how it works. If you don't, you can sign up with Zillow, you can sign up with Trulia, Realtor.com, Homes.com, any of these syndication sites, and you purchase a zip code. If somebody inquires on a property in that zip code, 3 people get their information. They get the buyer's name, phone number, whatever information they can grab from them, and they sell it to other realtors. So if you have a brand new listing and you want to get the most out of that listing and do best for it, sending them to Zillow is not going to help you, because they're just going to end up with another realtor. Now, they are required, yes, because I know some of you are thinking, well, it's my listing. I saw my name on there. Yeah, your name's on there. It's at the bottom. And most consumers aren't going to scroll down there to find you unless, they're an investor and they know that they want to work with a listing agent. You're going to lose them completely. And any advertising or posting you've done on social media, out the window. You've just made money for somebody else. So it's really important when you have new listings that you grab them from your website And whether it's something you've put on there directly or from your IDX feed, which we'll go over in a few minutes, take it from your website and post it to social media from there, because then they are going to your website and they are staying safely on your page where they can inquire with your phone number and your email at the top. Or if you have it on your website, it prompts them to fill out some information to inquire about that property. That'll be the most important thing that you take away from today is, having your website is to keep them in your bubble. You don't want to be sending them to all these other pages where they get lost and they get advertised to from other realtors. So, number one thing. The other important content for your page is going to be blogs. So if you're seeing a great article or information, sending them to sites like Florida Realtors and National Association of Realtors, not so bad, because they cannot promote specific realtors due to antitrust laws. That's fine. But if you can, it's best that if you see article or information that's going out that you think is really important for your customers, write up a quick blog, put it on your page, and then use that to share it out to people, whether you're sending out emails or again, posting on social media. But again, you are the source of the information right there on your web page, and your little customers that you're trying to corral into calling you aren't going to go anywhere else on you. So again, resources, if you're seeing resources that are really important to people, whether it's mortgage people to call or inspector people to call, or a lot of sites now come with like mortgage calculators, different resources like that, or ways for them to gain information aside from blogs you regularly post. Those are great content pieces for your website. And then you have lead gen pages and landing pages, which can be the same thing, but some sites just have very basic landing pages and some have lead gen pages that come too. So your lead gen pages are pages where it prompts a customer to fill out information. So this is where, you would say if you want a list of MLS properties, fill out this questionnaire. If you want to figure out how much your home is worth, drop your information here. These are great pages to share out on your social medias, in your emails, and things like that. Those are going to help filter them into getting that direct contact information where you can directly build that relationship with them. And then using significant. Okay. So, and then your landing pages. So this is going to be specific pages for specific topics. It can be for your blogs or your listing or resources or for anything you need. So if you're thinking about sharing out any kind of content, it should be a landing page or some kind of resource page on your website, so that when you are sending people to anywhere, it should be to your site. Otherwise, again, you are losing them completely. Now, an important point to take away from your content, which we're going to cover a lot of this in part two, is how to market and how to get them, turn them into leads essentially. But something that you want to think about when you are picking a site, building a site, or working with your site. The way that the algorithms work, as far as Google is concerned, or any of these search engines, they really want to see new, fresh content. So when picking out a site or building your site, you want to see, does it have the availability to put a blog on there or something where you can update it regularly? The more movement that you have on your site and the more fresher content you have on your site, the better off you are at organically showing up at the top of Google. Okay. So, and we are going to go through on part two, we're going to go through algorithms a lot, marketing a lot, how to organically and paid advertising ways of getting them to your site and turning them into leads. But just something to think about while we're talking about the importance of content. It's not just about what you can put on that site and walk away from it completely. If that's your intentions, that's fine. But if you're really wanting to make something out of your site, you're wanting it to show up on Google, and you're wanting people to interact with it regularly, new fresh content is the best way to go. And you can go to our YouTube channel. We've got a whole class about blogs and content. And if anybody has a question, just shoot me an email. There is a website that Florida Realtors provides us where they provide us blogs. So if you're not good at writing blogs, you don't have to sweat it at all. They write them for us. We can use them, and they're all the copyright is there so that we're allowed to post them out onto our website. So that's one way for you to have fresh content without having to think or write a whole bunch. But do try to keep your website constantly moving. Okay, so IDX feeds. For those of you that don't know anything about IDX feeds, it's kind of one of those things that we first get introduced to. I think they go over it in orientation, quite frankly. But it is the data feed from our MLS of all of the listing information, the status updates, and all of that. What's really important is making sure if you're going to purchase a website through somebody or a template, or start your own, look into the IDX feed. So you can call and check with the board. They can't tell you specifically what type of website builder to go with because there are thousands. But what they are allowed to do is provide you with a list of people who have a current IDX feed with our association. That means they've paid their dues to the association, they've been given access to that connection, and they are currently feeding. Depending on how techy you want to get with this or how specific you want to get with this, you can check with your website provider while you're in the interview process with them, or figuring out if you want to use them, or if you're having issues with them right now, just call them and ask them these questions. How often are they feeding? And what kind of feed do they have? Start asking them details on the feed and the connection that they have with the board for the information they get. There are a lot of people I've seen in the past have major issues with it only feeding once a day is not so bad, depending on how much traffic you have on your site, but people are not getting the feed as fast as they want, and come to find out the sites are only updating once a week, which can be really complicated. If you get a listing on Monday and that feed's not coming in until Friday, that's an issue. And it's not like they have to pay for every time it feeds. That's just the technology that they're building on the back end. But what's really important is if you are, first off, if you are going to build a site on your own or attempt to build a site on your own, to set up an IDX feed, it takes a lot. You've got to have all the technology on the back end to set up the feed, lots of coding, things like that. If you're starting out and you're brand new and maybe you really don't have a budget at all, so you are putting your own site together, maybe just think about posting your listings as you get them yourself, because the IDX feed is a good couple $100 a year. So my second point to this is to, first and foremost, when you are looking at getting a website, make sure that they already have a feed with the association. We've had a lot of issues with website providers in the past coming into the area. Maybe they're really prevalent in Orlando, which is an exact example that we've had in the past with a site. They were really, really prevalent in Orlando. They had a connection to Orlando MLS feed. They were at the convention, because if you go to the conventions, you'll notice that there are hundreds of people trying to sell you websites. And so we had somebody sign up with them, and come to find out they were just trying to break into our area, the Southwest Florida area, and they were new. So they didn't have an IDX feed, and they ended up charging it as a startup fee to that agent and had them pay for the IDX feed. So you need to make sure that they're already connected. And if they aren't, the first question that you need to ask them is, are you going to charge me for the IDX feed? Because they shouldn't be. And it shouldn't be something that comes up later. It's a cost to them for running their business. They already pay that IDX feed in several other cities, and they only have to pay for one feed. And then they get to, put that out to as many agents' websites as they want. So trying to make this kind of simple for you guys. If company ABC websites makes you pay for their IDX feed of $400 as a startup fee, they're about to make money off of you, because now they can go and they can sign up hundreds of agents in our area and they don't have to pay that $400 again. So again, that's a cost of them doing business. We see it a lot, which is why I think it's an important part of this presentation to make sure that they already have it and don't let them charge you for it. There are plenty of website providers that are already connected in our area. And again, you can request that list from MLS so that you don't even have to worry about it. And if you want to double check that the site provider that you're about to go with is fully connected and that's not something you have to worry about, just call the MLS, call our association, and they'll connect you with the right person and they'll provide a list of everybody who is connected. So the last question on here is, do you need an IDX feed? And that's going to depend on what you're wanting out of your site. Most of the time, I'm going to say yes. We're going to go through some cheaper options of websites, and it doesn't have a huge cost difference to go with somebody that has an IDX feed. You're going to eventually need it. So if you can put it in as part of your startup cost to make sure you have an IDX feed, I would highly advise it. But if you're just planning on being a buyer's rep, and maybe you don't care to put any listings on your web page, then you don't need it. But eventually, with even buyers, your buyers are going to want to search for property on your site, and your sellers are going to want to see their listing and their property on your site. So that's where that's going to be very important. And it's going to save you a lot of time so that you don't have to input them onto your site by yourself. Okay, so your first step is your URL. I have a lot of people that struggle with this, which is fine if you do. It's, for some of us, it's like really that's really simple, but everybody struggles in different areas. So purchasing your URL is what your website name is. So your www.jonesandcorealty.com or anything like that. So first you can purchase your domain. Some trusted ones are GoDaddy.com. That's the one that I know that everyone uses, and also domain.com. There are a lot of different websites that you can purchase domains from, but do your research before you purchase them. You can search for whatever site name it is that you want. Search it across several different URL providers, because you might get a better deal with one than the other. I know that I like GoDaddy the most because they provide lots of protections and add-ons, and they'll sell you a package of different names at once. So it just is more convenient for me. So most importantly, you want to keep it short and simple. If it's too long, they're not going to remember it. It's not going to fit on your business card. It's just an inconvenience. You want to use this as an extension of your branding. So if you are maybe going to be the person who wants to just sell golf course communities, you can say www.golfguyrealestate.com or golfgalrealestate.com. Just try to think about what you're going after. I know Steve's really, really good at branding. So, everything he does is within the same name, so his website URL matches as well. Something important to think of, everything when it's social media, websites, or anything these days, everybody is talking about algorithms. Algorithms is basically like a mathematical equation plugged into the back of websites, technology, social media, and it's reading what you're providing and deciding if it's good content or not. It's your basic explanation of algorithms. So the algorithm behind a URL, it's actually, people want to use like specific terms like search southwestfloridarealestate.com or buy homes in capecoral.com, and using keywords is actually not good in your URL. It's all of the coding in the back and your meta tags and things that we're going to talk about in part 2. So using long terms and sentences because you think that it's going to show up first on Google because that's what people are searching, not going to work. Focus on your branding and keeping it short. That's what's going to be best. Also, you want to use .com. And if it's possible, you want to scoop up all of the other extensions. Like I said, GoDaddy usually sells them in a package. So your other extensions are things like .net. Um, for a while, the Realtor Association, the National Realtor Association, and I think they still do, they provide .realtor, which is really cool because it brands for sure. The issue with that is Google actually doesn't like .realtor, and I know I'm smiting our own association and what they're providing us. .com is still going to be the best. .realtor is great for your branding, and you might think it looks cool on your business card, but if you're going to be focusing on the algorithm and trying to push people to your site and you're using your website to gain leads, .realtor is actually going to hurt you. Google and the way that their algorithm works, they don't like it. They don't trust it. They might in the future, but right now they don't. And .com is always going to be, if you think of a website automatically, let's think about big brands. You think about Walmart, you think about Target, you think about Best Buy. You don't even have to think twice when you type in their website. It's automatically walmart.com, target.com, bestbuy.com. Nobody ever said it was .com, but our brains just assume that because it's the most used extension. And so Google is going to trust .com before they trust anything else, and they're going to push that ahead of pushing anything else. So just keep that in mind. If you can, then purchase up multiple. Like I said, the GoDaddy.com will sell you whenever, and we're going to go to their site in a second and I'll show you real quick. They'll suggest buying a package of them, and you can have them all feed to the same site. It's also important to start thinking about different ways that you're going to market and you're going to brand, because you can purchase multiple domains for different subjects, different things. If you have different niches, maybe you're going after 3 different communities, you can purchase those community names and have them all feed right to your same website. So, and that's on the back end. So whoever you're going through to build your website and provide your website, if you tell them you've got multiple domain names, you just give them the logins and they will take care of it. If you are building your own site, then you will need to go through your domain site to have it feed to whatever website you have built. So you also want to think about what your words look like strung together. A lot of people have great ideas for websites. And then once you put all those words together, it looks like something completely different. And this is my favorite part of the presentation because it can be talking about websites can be very dry. So I like to have a little bit of fun with it. And oh my gosh, now it doesn't want to move. Here we go. Okay, so reasons to be careful of what your words look like strung together. These are some great examples of different companies or subjects that they put the words together, and it doesn't look like how it's supposed to. And this is where JJ's like, oh my God, why did we even hire Joanna? Does her screen really say Penn is Island? It does. It does. Or IT scrap became it's scrap. Who represents when put together looks very different. Expert exchange looks like expert sex change. Speed of art looks like speedo fart. So please be careful when you're putting your names together. This was posted on hostgator.com. They're another site where you can buy domains from. And it was an article about the worst names they ever had submitted to their site. So just to give everybody a laugh on their Thursday, please be careful when you're putting together your URL name. This also goes for off subject from websites. Please also be careful when you're putting together your hashtags because it does the same thing. A lot of people don't look at what they're just like spelling out phrases and sentences and their hashtag. You put all those letters together and it creates something completely different. So I'm going to hop over, if it'll let me. We're going to hop over really quick to GoDaddy's site. For those of you who haven't purchased a domain yet, you can just go to GoDaddy.com. It works the same on a lot of the other examples. Come here where it says find your perfect domain and just start shopping it out. So I'm just going to go with Joanna Real Estate. Oh, It needs to be one word also. And you can just click search domain. So once you do this, they're going to work it up. They're going to look at what it's available for, and then they're going to show you some different examples. They're going to show you the .coms, the .orgs, how much they're worth. I searched it 3 times today, so I did notice that the price has gone up. So try to purchase it when you haven't searched it so much, because obviously now it's reading it that it may be popular. So you can come out here, you can add it to cart, you can purchase it, you can search through different things. Maybe whatever you get is like way too much and you don't want it. Hot words are going to be more expensive. So there is this balance between finding something that's not super expensive, that is, real estate is a hot word. It's going to make the price go up. But so there's that balance between making it brandable and recognizable, but also if you want to save costs on it, trying to use words that aren't super special. So far, does anybody have any questions just about how to get started and how to purchase your domain? GoDaddy will walk you through it, and I think most of us that are here on the call already have URLs. Okay, I don't see anybody having any issues. So let me go back to this. Okay, so our lovely examples of bad URLs. All right, so here's the most important part. And if you have any questions on this one, my answer to you is going to be to call JJ, because she is the queen of everything that is legal and keeping us out of jail. I am going to cover the basics for you, but if you have like specific questions, you're going to want to call her. So is your website legal? This is a huge deal because there have been a huge incline in realtors themselves getting sued. First off, sued by the general public. That'll cost you a lot. But then there is always the issue of an ethics violation being brought up against you, or DBPR giving you a call, which is something that you never want, because that's putting your license at risk. That's putting everybody at risk. And we take lots of classes every year that talk about the expectations and websites, and they talk about how much money in lawsuits there are every single year just for realtor websites. And guys, these people make a killing. They really do. They make a killing off of just finding issues with our website. And I'm going to assume, because all of you are so lovely, that it wasn't intentional, whatever you get sued for. But if we practice in the beginning, making sure that we're paying attention to these things, then we're less likely to see you having to pay all of your commission to somebody for a website. So most importantly is broker representation. I talked about how in the beginning I got really excited because I only thought about me. Yeah, well, that's what's going to get you in trouble, just thinking about your brand and not remembering that you have to have broker representation on your website. The DBPR has a huge list of all of their rules and the specifics of how things need to be. Just know that if the logo is visible and not, oh, I can see it right there, it's real tiny, but it is there. None of those games. It needs to be seen, and it needs to be at the top of your page. Then you're golden. DBPR specifically has it laid out, if you're questioning where it needs to be because your layout is really cool and you have it specifically designed, they will tell you that the logo needs to be clearly visible and larger than the text font, and that it needs to be by the contact information. So if you've got your name and your phone number, then it needs to be right to the side or underneath that information. A lot of the providers that will give us, templated sites. If it's through a provider that regularly does real estate websites, then it's not something you're going to have to worry about. They know what the laws are because they don't want to get countersued because you got sued. They pay attention to those rules and laws, which is why it's great to go through somebody who already does real estate websites. But if you are building it yourself, I just recommend that you put it at the top left hand corner and make it very visible. Broker representation laws do get more specific if you have a team, if you are representing yourself as a team. And I know most of you guys on here are on Crystal's team, and she's highly educated on what she needs to be doing. If you're on a team, you need to go do some further research. You just mainly need to make sure that you're not looking like a standalone company and still a representation of Jones and Company. So the second bullet point here is the one that people are getting sued on the most. It's being ADA compliant. So the ADA compliance has really taken prevalence in real estate. I guess a lot of our sites just weren't ADA compliant. So the people who go out and they test sites and then they sue and then they make money, well, they have really just found a bucket of gold on realtors' websites. I don't know if it's because we're cheap and we make cheap websites. Or if maybe just because we're not paying attention to it, but it's been a huge issue. So if you are looking at getting a new site or you currently have one, you need to ask the person providing your website, is it ADA compliant? We're going to talk about Agent 3000 because they are plugged into our association. They've got great offerings for us. They are a website creator. They are who we use for our website. It's hands down, it's ADA compliant. There's a little ADA button right on the screen, and I'll show you guys that in a minute. But these are questions that you need to be asking your website provider, because if your website is not ADA compliant, meaning that it doesn't have options for reading the text for people who are blind, and it doesn't have options for font because it's too small for people who are also blind, lots of different things. If it doesn't have those things, you're getting sued. Did you build the site? No. Did you just give your login information to somebody? Yeah, but you're still responsible. You will get sued. You can later go and sue the person who made your website, but first you're going to have to pay out a lot of money. So that is the biggest thing you're going to need to make sure that your website is legal for. Second of all is fair housing. Every day we have to comply by fair housing. That means treating people the way you want to be treated in layman's terms, but that's, protecting all the protected classes and not discriminating, all of those things. You think, well, duh, obviously I'm a great person, I'm not going to discriminate. But sometimes we do things without realizing it. And the fair housing part mostly comes into play when looking at if you're posting blogs or articles on your site. So make sure no matter what material you're providing on that website, just think for a second. There's no way I could offend anybody or I could discriminate against anybody. Is there, okay, I've been fair in what I've put out here, because your material that you put on your website and on your social medias all has to be compliant with fair housing. So the other thing that people are mostly getting sued for is copyright. So copyright would mean, do you have the right to put the photos on your website that are on there? If it's provided by a templated site, then they have provided you the photos and that is fine. But if you are making your own site, or maybe you're deciding to spice up your website, because most websites, even if they're templated, they allow you to put photos across the scrolling screen at the top or anything like that, you need to figure out, did you just Google sunny beaches and right click save that photo from Google? Because you've technically stolen it. I know it seems so silly, but you just stole a photo and you can be sued for it. You need to make sure you are getting your photos from sites that allow you to use their photos, and you're most likely going to have to pay for that. So pages like Shutterstock and things like that, you can purchase the rights to use a photo. Do make sure that if you're using an off-brand site, that they've given you more than a one pass access to use it because you're continuously using it on your site. Look into what the terms and agreements are. But a lot of people are getting sued right now, and it seems so silly. A lot of people are getting sued for copyrighted photos because they right clicked and saved on something because they just Googled a photo. If it's on Google, it doesn't mean it's there for you to use. I know it just seems so easy to do and it seems so silly. Well, they put it out there. Yeah, but it's theirs and they still own the rights to it. And this also is going to go for general material. So if you're writing a blog and you've copy pasted something, please do cite it. If you've copied a paragraph or anything like that, any material you're putting out there, if it's somebody else's, don't just assume it's there for you to use because it's on the internet. It's not, and it's the first thing that will get you sued. So the other big thing when building your site is just look at Florida advertising law. It's provided by DBPR. And I do have the puppy here. Yes. Okay. So this is a lot to read, but there is a specific paragraph in here. It says when advertising on a site or in the internet, the brokerage firm needs to name is required. Subsection above shall be placed adjacent to or immediately above or below the point of contact information, which is your information. So that's your name, your phone number, your email, your mailing address, anything like that. If your contact information is there, it needs to be there. And most likely that's going to be at the top of your website. Let me go back here for a second. So just really pay attention to the legalities. If you just Google Florida advertising law, and I will show you an article in a second as well, it'll help make things clear. Again, if you have a team, you've got a lot more requirements because they want to make sure that your team doesn't look like the brokerage. It's all about the perception of the consumer. So when making your website, you want to make sure that if somebody were to land on your website, they first and foremost know it's a real estate page. If you're trying to trick somebody into, making them think it's one thing when it's another thing, that's where you start getting in trouble. So when people start trying to hide that they're a realtor and they make a site that's called for sale by owners and they don't disclose that they're a realtor because they want everybody who hates realtors to be their friend and then end up signing them anyway, you're going to get in trouble. It's all about the perception of your consumer, making sure that they know who you are and who your brokerage is and what you're doing. That's going to be your main thing. But if you struggle at all or you're worried about something on your site, like I said, call JJ. And if you Google Florida realtor advertising laws, DBPR site is the first thing that does come up, thanks to that beautiful algorithm. Okay, so lastly, we're going to talk really quick about cost and options. So it's all going to come down to what are you expecting out of your site? Do you just need a page for people to land on because you really don't give a crap? And after taking this class, you really hate websites? Well, you can go for something really cheap. But if you are highly interested and want your website to do business for you and be an extension of you and maybe be an assistant to you, you're going to pay a little bit more. Your sites can have things like that run in the background, like customer relation services. Maybe it just keeps a log of people who enter into your site. Maybe it sends out listings for you. Maybe it sends out drip campaigns for you. The more things you add on, obviously, the more it's going to cost. Just in case you guys have not purchased a site recently, I've included some prices. So WordPress is a known web creator that will allow you to basically create your website yourself, but it's not made for real estate directly. It's just made for any kind of basic front facing page. So you can add some tabs on there, and it's used a lot by bloggers. It's mostly used by bloggers, if I'm being honest. But if you just needed a basic web page to throw up there, let's say you spent 12 bucks on getting realestateinflorida.com and you just want to throw something up there, WordPress is about 10 bucks a month. They do have different add-ons, different features you can get, but it's a basic template. It'll let you change the colors. It'll let you add a photo here and plug information down here. And that's all you're going to get. Honestly, if you're going to pay 10 bucks a month for WordPress to host it, you might as well spend the extra $25 and go with Agent 3000. Now, Agent 3000 is a great program that typically would cost several $100s a month, but our association has a signed agreement with them and they work with them. If you want to give Agent 3000 a look see, it actually is right on our dashboard. So if you log in, to go to the MLS, you log into your dashboard, there is a logo that looks exactly like the one you see on your screen, Agent 3000. The reason they're on our dashboard is because they already provide some different things for us. They are already connected to the MLS. That's not something you have to worry about. You got an IDX feed, but you can go in there for free and create flyers and create some great marketing pieces. But the add-on of getting a website is only $35 a month. Now, like I said, what they provide is typically a couple $100s a month if you were to go with other sites. But because they have this deal with our association, it's only $35 a month. And honestly, if you are just starting up or you're wanting to do more with your site, I do suggest Agent 3000 because they have a lot on the back end. They provide lots of landing pages. You can have a blog page on there. There are pages for people to sign up and provide you their information. Now, keep in mind that information doesn't go anywhere except for to you. It will get texted to you and emailed to you if somebody signs up on your site, whether they're a seller or a buyer. There's lots of different pages for you to sign up on there. And then it also, if you want, you can set up a drip campaign and you can put them and set them up on a feed to get listings regularly as well. They don't have pre-templated drip campaigns. So a lot of people, for the people who don't use Agent 3000, it's usually because they're going for something that's a little bit more luxurious or has more content. So I think Agent 3000 is a great starter up website for providing you a lot of stuff. Honestly, you'll feel a little spoiled if you know anything about websites and you see what they're giving you for $35. But if you're looking for something to be more automated, have have emails already created and text messages already created and that thought process done for you, you're going to have to go somewhere else and you're going to have to pay a lot more money. Um, and I'm not a salesperson for Agent 3000. We've just always used them. And like I said, they're plugged into our association. So we really, really like having that option of only $35 a month for a great site and great backend. So doing some research and what numbers looked like for 2020, personally created sites, meaning you went, you hired somebody to make a site from scratch that was not templated. People, realtors in specific, not websites overall, realtors in specific were paying anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000 for the year. Obviously, that's all part of your creation costs, and then each year you're gonna have to pay them to continue to host that site for you. But if you're really looking at getting something personally created, if it's that important to you, that's what you're looking at for cost. Your templated sites are mostly at this $600 range. They're like 50 to $100 a month, and they can go up to about $2,000 a year. These are sites that you see primarily provided by the syndication groups, so homes.com and realtor.com. Like, you can sign up with them and then you can get an addition in your package where they provide you a website and all these things. And if you were to go to any of the conventions and meet with website providers, a lot of those are pre-templated sites, so they'll give you like 10, maybe 20 different sites to choose from. They'll host it for you. They have the IDX feed set up for you, which is mostly what you're paying for. But again, you can get that for $35 with Agent 3000. These other templated sites that are more money just have more options. They just have more material, more options, and more things. So that's what you're looking at as far as cost goes. I am going to give you guys a quick example. Let me move all of your little heads on my screen. So our website, again, is provided by Agent 3000. So if you don't have a website right now and you're looking for one, we really like it. the agent sites are going to look very much like our site looks like. We just had a couple of different tabs added, but Sean down at Agent 3000 will add different tabs for you if you want it to. And he usually doesn't charge anything extra if you're going to keep them up and maintain them. There's a whole dashboard for you to work on the site. But I mainly want to show you our website because what's most important is you can see this little button right here. That is for ADA resources, and that shows that we're ADA compliant. And you can see when I hover over it, it says accessibility menu. So you might want to go to your site, because I'm looking at everybody who is on our call right now, and you guys mostly all have your own sites. Look at your site and see if it has a button like this, or if you were blind, hard of hearing, different things, and you were trying to maneuver your site, where would you find those accessibilities at? And if you can't find them, somebody who has a disability is probably not going to be able to find them either. So this button is the one that I see on most sites. I don't know if it's like the signal for ADA compliance. I did not look that up. But this is the one that our website provider provides, and I see it on a lot of other people's sites. So do take a look into that. If I were to click on this, it's going to open up a whole portal and start reading me the web page, start giving me lots of options, and try to figure out what I need help with based on my computer settings. The one other thing that I did want to show you guys, and I will email it out to everybody who is on this call, is this is provided by Florida Realtors. If you just go on there and look up advertising laws for Florida Realtors, this will help you a lot with the guidelines for making your site, buying your site, and making sure that your site is up to date. Instead of having all of the lovely wording that DBPR gives us that looks like, a contract and it's all written very formal, this breaks down each section, and it even has a section on here for team advertising. However, this was written at the end of 2019. So team advertising is in the works of getting even more rules. So read this section with caution. But if you are a single agent, you can come through here, look at the different advertising rules, because your advertising rules apply to your postcards, your mail advertising, your emails, but also your website. So a lot of that, for some reason, we kind of look at marketing as one section, and then our brain looks at our website as something else. Your website is considered marketing and advertising. So you do need to abide by the marketing and advertising rules. And like I said, this article on here, I will send it out to you guys. It'll help you just in general understand what DDPR is expecting from us. And making sure that your site is legal, because that's going to be the biggest thing from today. Is if you're starting new or you're redoing your website or looking at anything, you want to make sure that it's not legal, or make sure that it is legal because that is going to be what costs you the most out of all of this. So do we have any questions? Is anybody kind of confused about anything, any specific subject that we went over today? Everybody's so quiet today. Okay. So like I said, your most important thing that you want to take away from today is when you're asking yourselves, are websites still relevant? Do I need a website? It's yes, because that is where you're going to house all of your content. It's where everything about you should be, so that you can share it out there with the world, no matter what it is that you're working on, your emails, your social media, and maybe you're doing some print advertising, anything like that. What we're going to talk about in part 2 is going to be more so how to use that website and why it's so important. So we're going to talk about sharing it out. We're going to talk about using it in advertising. We're going to talk about algorithms and, trying to get to the top of Google and things like that, so that you can make money off of your website that you're paying for. So if we don't have any other questions or any add-ons or anything like that, we do have questions. Okay, what does MLS charge for an IDX feed on Agent 3000? So The IDX feed is the same cost for everyone. And last time I looked at it, it was like $300 to $400. But Agent 3000 already has that paid for. So, like, as an example, the website provider, Agent 3000, he pays that once a year and he gives access and he gets to give access to everyone. So, you don't have to personally pay for that. Um, and he doesn't charge you for that. And so back on that IDX page that we went over, your website provider, for those reasons, because they only have to pay for it once a year, they should not be charging you for it. If you're looking to get your own IDX feed for your own personal site, that's where you're going to be paying for it. Um, a website, not Agent 3000. Yeah, so a provider, it's last I checked, and I wouldn't quote me on it's several $100s. So it's like $300 to $400. And the reason I know that is because we had a website provider that wasn't in the area. They came into the area, said it was going to be a $50 sign up fee for an agent, and it was going to be like $150 a month to host their site. Well, once they started putting the site together, they realized they didn't have an IDX feed. Um, and they just decided not to tell the agent. The agents um, kept looking at their site and seeing that their listings weren't being updated. So when they confronted the website provider about it, they said, "Oh, well, you're going to have to pay for the IDX feed. It was somewhere in the range between $300 to $400." So, but what they charge for a website on Agent 3000 is only $35 a month, if that's what you're looking for, David. So to have them host your site and to use all of those added features, it's only $35 a month. And if you just Google Agent 3000, their phone number is right there. They've got a great team. Sean is in charge of their team, and he'll help you out with any of that. So let me see if we have any other questions. Okay, so I think that just about sums it up for everything. You're welcome. We miss you guys if we haven't seen you in a while. So, but I'm glad that we could all get together on Zoom. And like I said, so at the beginning of next month, we're going to have part 2. We're going to go over how to really utilize your site and make some money off of it. So do go out. If you are with our office, you can get it in app files. If you're not, you can go to our Facebook page and see all the other classes that we have coming up in February. It is Love Our Agents Month. So I do have to end this by saying we love you all so much. we're getting really, really touchy-feely this month. So we love you all, and we wouldn't be here without you. So go check out our calendar and look out for more stuff coming your way. And I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your week and a wonderful weekend. Bye, everybody.